Brought to you by Hug House Productions.
Will here with another podcast I think you're gonna love. Mother, She Wrote is a multi-genre podcast all about beloved, moving, and deeply influential game Earthbound, or Mother as it's called in Japan. Blending audio drama and nonfiction deep dive, Mother, She Wrote doesn't just look into the themes and craft of the game, it puts you right into the mood and feel of the game. Here's the trailer, and you can find the podcast in our show notes or at mothershewrote.earth.
It happened in the quiet town of Podunk, an ages-old family mystery.
What happened with Great-Grandpa? Why won't you talk about it?
Because there's nothing to say, Ninten.
Begets an unprecedented paranormal event.
Help, brother!
Poltergeists.
My lamp attacked me. It was hovering in the air. It unplugged itself and came at me.
Mind control.
Why is that crow smoking a cigarette?
Okay, we're playing inside today.
Zombies.
I could have gotten out of here on my own.
You were hiding in a coffin.
It was a good disguise.
Extraterrestrials.
You've seen them too? I've been observing them for days.
I beat up aliens with my baseball bat.
Children with psychokinetic powers.
I let that little light of mine shine, Mama, and it melted the darkness away.
And that's just the beginning.
Introducing Mother, She Wrote, a travelogue diary through the biggest cult phenomena in video game history, the Mother series, as it's called in Japan, and Earthbound, as it's called everywhere else.
Each episode, we recount the story through immersive audio drama as it's lived by the characters, unpacking the surreal adventures, tear-jerking moments, and what it all means.
If you're new to the series, we'll take you beyond the controller and into the story.
And if you're a longtime fan, relive these tales like never before and learn fascinating new facts about your favorite games.
Find Mother, She Wrote on your favorite podcast player and at mothershewrote.earth.
Welcome to How to Act Fereldan, your podcast field guide to all things Dragon Age. I am one of your hosts, Will Williams, and today my Dragon Age is 13. Anne, hello.
Hi, I'm Anne Baird, and today my Dragon Age is 21, because I have a glass of wine.
Ooh.
Wow.
Giancarlo.
Hello, I am Giancarlo Herrera, and today my Dragon Age is a sensible 8 3/4.
Very sensible.
I thought you were going a very different direction with that, given, like, the movie announcer voice, but...
Yeah. You know,
It works, it fits. I feel it in my bones.
First thought, best thought, do not explain.
First thought, best thought, do not explain.
If I can do just a minor explanation, my gut instinct was 13, but Will took it, and I said, you know what? I'm not doing that.
I'm the only dragon who was born that year. Oh, I guess I could have done that math. That's 2010. I guess I could have done that. For those just joining us here on our second episode, this is a discussion podcast about Dragon Age, the franchise of video games by BioWare, sort of in prep for Dragon Age 4 Dreadwolf, and sort of because we like it.
That's a fun reason to do things.
Yeah, I think the older I get, whether Dragon Age or Human Age, the older I get, the more I am embracing just doing things because I like them. The end.
100%.
Such a life motto. Like, just do things because you enjoy them.
It's good, actually.
Real wisdom is when you stop doing things you don't like.
Yeah. Oh, it's
That's
so
harder.
True.
Like working? God, I wish that were me.
Hello, my boss.
Hi, this energy bill does not bring me joy, therefore I will be disregarding it.
Just Marie Kondo, you're everything in your life. It does not bring me joy. I'm done with this.
I feel like this is like precisely what she meant.
Yeah, if she had the power, which let's be real, she does.
She does. She's like, if y'all could just get on my level. To start us off this episode, we actually have a piece of Dragon Age news and a new piece of Dragon Age crit that was released, which is like wild to see in 2023. I'm going to start with the news here. It was announced yesterday as of recording. So we're recording this on March 28th, and this was announced on the yesterday of today, the 27th. There we go. That after leaving BioWare entirely, former executive producer Mike Dara, who has worked on Dragon Age and Mass Effect, is coming back to work on Dragon Age Dreadwolf as a consultant. And the Mass Effect team is also stepping in to help, quote, the production and polishing tasks of Dragon Age Dreadwolf. So with all that being said, a real quick look back. Mike Dara left BioWare on December 3rd, 2020, along with a general manager named Casey Hudson. And their departures were announced on the BioWare blog. Very, very typical, like, hi, we're leaving, we're retiring, best of luck to everybody. But I know it did feel weird at the time. In that statement, Mark Dara said, this has been a very difficult decision for me. And so now they're back working on the several times delayed Dragon Age Dreadwolf, pulling in the Mass Effect team. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being like, hey, this is great news, and 10 being like, I think this will cause a war, how catastrophic do we think shit is at BioWare right now?
It doesn't inspire confidence.
No.
I'll tell you that.
I'm actually going to go with a sensible 5. I'm going to split the road. I'm going to say that probably the war was already beginning.
Yeah.
But I'm going to choose to look at it in a charitable light and say that perhaps this will turn the war into something that's not. I don't know where I'm going with this analogy. Maybe this turns it around. I don't know. I'm going to remain optimistic.
Okay.
It doesn't sound great.
Brave and bold of you.
I was going to be like, you know what? I have confidence in the team, but then I remember that Andromeda was a thing.
Oh, yeah, it sure was.
Yeah.
It really was.
Oh, no.
Maybe a 3.
I didn't play the Mass Effect games, so that just hit me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want the Mass Effect team on this, guys.
Well, okay. Well, what I can say is that as games, Mass Effect they work better. They work better.
Okay.
Better functioning games.
Okay.
I think the only thing I think the Mass Effect team could bring you that you wouldn't like would be like sort of that sci-fi sensibility, which I know isn't your jam. Mm-hmm. And by God, I hope it is too late for them to be doing that. I hope that they're just bringing like functionality. I doubt they're going to be touching the writing. I as I'm saying this, it's falling apart. I feel like the rock fighter in the Neverending Story, like I mean, looking at them in my hands.
To be fair, right? Like in our last episode, we were talking about the leaked kind of gameplay samples, and that seems like it's a pretty beefy system. I'd be surprised if they overhauled that entirely. And if they got that far, I have to imagine there's a story, right? So it could just be like, hey, this is a terrible buggy mess. Somebody come fix it.
Yeah.
Will they be able to fix it all? Probably not.
It
But-
also
I don't know.
It also,
it could be workable.
I'm concerned about, like, okay, why did Mark Dara really leave?
Yes.
And then how much did they screw it up in the last 3 years that he had to come back?
Yes.
How much they must have panicked and been like, oh God, we need him back.
Yes. In this article, which we are sourcing from GamesBeat at venturebeat.com, this is written by Dean Takahashi. I'm going to quote Takahashi here, who is not quoting from a press release, I don't believe, probably paraphrasing from a press release. They say that Dara was brought on. Let me pull this exact quote here. Quote from the article. Dara's focus will center on ensuring that the team is connecting this new experience with the legacy of the franchise.
Jesus.
Respecting
Oh,
the
no.
Dragon Age legacy while sustaining the vision for this beloved franchise is a top priority.
Oh God.
Hey, now what the fuck does that mean?
Why is it being called
What
an
did they do to
experience?
it?
What did they do?
Did they pull like Witcher Netflix series and they were like, yeah, it's Dragon Age. It's Dragon Age. Just don't look too closely.
So on that note, do we think that following the shit show of a season that the next one of The Witcher is going to be, do you think they'll have to bring Henry Cavill back? Because they're going to ruin it by changing the actor for.
It won't even. They'll bring him back, but he won't even be acting. He'll just suddenly be a producer on it, but he still won't be in the show.
He'll just give notes like, my guy wouldn't say that. Come on.
Yeah.
That's why he left, Will.
Oof.
Because
my guy wouldn't say that for real this time.
they didn't like that he said that.
No, they did not.
Oy, oy, oy. What a mess.
Uh-huh.
What a mess. Okay, let's move on to the second piece that I just think is interesting. I'm hoping to, as I see more cool and fascinating pieces of BioWare and Dragon Age Crit come up, to keep sharing those. So this is via Kotaku. It's by CC Jung, who is wonderful. I love them. They're a really great writer. They have written a piece, this was published March 1st, 2023, called Inquisition's Most Disappointing Character Shows the Limitations of Dragon Age. And I think that headline is a bit much for the actual focus of the piece, which is very common online. It is not the same as clickbait. And also, CC Jung almost definitely did not write the headline. An editor did, as somebody who's written for Kotaku. That's how these things happen. Just putting that out there. This article is about Iron Bull. And it is specifically about a race in the game called the Kunari, who you get introduced to bit by bit, but they really become a focus initially in 2, but then much more in Inquisition, and I have a feeling much more in Dreadwolf. We have reason to believe in Dreadwolf that they're going to be very prominent.
I actually would want to hear more about where Giancarlo got in his playthrough.
Me too.
And what he...
Cool.
Yeah, because I think last time... Where were we last time? You were just finishing up your origins.
Yeah. I think I
right?
had just been recruited by Duncan. A lot has happened.
I got to watch some of it, and it was wonderful.
I forgot how much happened so quickly. Yeah, it's a lot, and here's my current. Again, we're assuming that people who are listening have played through. If you have not made it to the initial battle with the Grey Wardens, I guess this is your spoiler warning. But here's my hot take. I don't think Duncan's dead. But he might be, but I don't know. Like, at first I was like, no, there's no way he's dead. But then they kept going on. I'm like, oh, he's definitely dead. Then I'm like, no, he's not dead. I think he's going to pop up later, like, covered in blood. I don't know. Because we very explicitly saw King Kaelin die, which I was like, oh, I remembered him being attacked, But I was like, right, I think they both, like, it kind of fades to black in a weird way. And then I was like, oh no, he gets his entire ass ripped in half.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fuck Logain is number one.
Interesting.
Number two, it feels like it happened so long ago. Like I just got to the camp, like the first time that you're in camp on your way when you're traveling, and you have the father and the son. I can't remember their names right now. The smiths and enchanters, they're there. I have Sten, I have Morrigan, I have...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I have Alistair, and I have Leliana.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And, fun fact, I committed my first accidental romance.
Welcome to Dragon Age!
So, this was yesterday, actually. I was on stream, and I was trying out gifts for the first time, and I was afraid that I was going to give them to the wrong person. So, like, after every conversation, I was saving in case I, like, really fucked it up. And I went to talk to Morrigan, and I give her a gift, and then one of my options was, like, just kiss her, like, in the middle of conversation.
Good Lord!
And like, I'm like, I've had one conversation with this woman. I'm like, this is definitely not going to go well. Like, she's going to reprimand me, and it's going to be like, Morrigan disliked that minus 423.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it would be funny. So I clicked it. Fully intending to load the save. At first she's like, whoa, what are you doing? And I'm like, okay, I guess that wasn't as funny as I thought. And then I was like, let's go further. Do you dislike this? And she's like, only if you stop. And I was like, what? Madam!
I'm so upset. Did you stream
yes, I
that?
did.
Oh, thank God.
God, I'm so upset I missed that.
The VOD should still be up because it was last night.
Good.
But it's so funny because especially compared to like Mass Effect, where like I didn't romance anyone in the first game at all because I just didn't spend enough time talking to them. And in the other games, like it takes a while. So I was like, I don't know, end of the world, I guess. Like shorter lifespans.
Listen, this is, without too many spoilers, this is not the case for most of the other characters in this game. Morrigan's just down a clown.
Great.
And we love her for it.
I'm not mad
Get
about
it, girl. Yeah.
But yeah, so we got her. I have mixed feelings about most of the people in my party. Morgan's actually probably the one that I feel best about because it's like very obvious, like very with the whole witch storyline. I'm like, obviously you're not what everyone is treating you as. Fuck the chantry. I hate it. It's that's one of those things where like it almost comes to like too real for me, where I'm like, I don't want anything to do with you. But then you meet like the guy at the Chanter's board and you're like, oh, you know what? You're nice. You're sweet. You're cool. Alistair, I thought he was like funny the first few times you meet him because like he's not bad mouthing, but he's like smart mouthing everyone. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. And then he's like, yeah, I wanted to be in the Chantry. And I'm like, oh, you're a cop.
Yeah. These games have a real problem with charming, charismatic, romanceable male characters who also are cops, which, as a Mass Effect enjoyer, let me just say, everyone wants to fuck Garrus, who is the biggest cop.
That's true.
Tying this all back to Dragon Age, this is actually a great point of conversation in as much as like how you're feeling about these characters and different romance options, and having accidentally done a romance on Morrigan, who again, down to clown, because our topic of conversation today, after the mid-roll and after any other closing thoughts about your playthrough, is going to be about Alistair. But while I was doing research, it stuck out to me how important of a character Alistair is in the history and legacy of romanceable NPCs in games. So I think we're going to talk about like what makes a good romanceable character. So before we hit that though, anything else on your playthrough that stuck out to you? And also, oh my God, Did you get the doggy?
I did get the doggy. I named him Tony.
What'd you
Tony.
What'd you name him?
That's so good.
Tony.
That's
Amazing.
So good.
He's a very good boy, and I'm happy to have him in my party. I'm excited because I recognize that I'm still very early on, so there's still a lot to learn about these people. Like, I basically just had my first chance to talk to them. So yesterday's stream was basically just me exhausting all the conversation options at the camp. I find it really interesting. It's especially interesting when, like, because you get Liliana, who is a bard, and so it's interesting to hear, like, for example, her telling her version of a story that then another character has a different take on. I like that. I like that there's a little bit of the gray area. I find the history of the world very interesting so far. And characters have cool concepts, but I think I need to get to know them a little better before I, like, really have solid opinions on all of them as, like, full people.
For sure. What's your gut read on Liliana right now?
Liliana, I kind of didn't want her in the party at all. It's the same as, like, Sten, where, like, with the limited stuff that's presented to me, and I'm like, Chantry, no, get out of here. But then when she joins and I actually got to talk to her, and you hear that, like, she was a former spy, or at least kind of, it's like, it's a possibility up in the air that is very heavily hinted at. But I appreciate that she does kind of, like, cherry pick the parts of the Chantry that she finds valuable, because it's like it's not even in question. Like, yeah, they do, like, some nice things, but, like, persecuting, like, magic users, that's not, I don't like that. And so it's interesting.
Yeah, it's like a big thing that they do.
Yes.
It's like their favorite.
It's their thing.
So it's like, I don't know. It's complicated. My gut read is I don't trust her fully, but I think after having that conversation, like, the game is going to do its damnedest to redeem her, and I'm not, like, closed off to that. So
cool. I am holding my tongue hard.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
With that, I think let's hit the mid-roll, and then we'll be back to talk about Alistair and love interests.
Cool.
On March 27th, 2024, Elon Musk was deposed in a libel lawsuit filed by Ben Brody. Musk's lawyer, Alex Spiro, tried to retroactively mark the deposition as confidential, but it wasn't.
Of course I can ask him, do you think you committed actual malice? Do you think you were reckless? Of course I can ask those questions.
The deposition is a new Hug House podcast reenactment of the entire deposition, word by word, in full, taken very seriously.
Things that he did wrong.
But that's the point. That's not what you're allowed
Until he really just, like, can't anymore?
Not what you're allowed to do in the deposition. You can't just get him talking.
The deposition drops on the 4th of July, 2024, with 4 weekly episodes. Subscribe on your podcatcher of choice or find us at hughouse.productions today.
In a world of covert culinary criminal coalitions, Giancarlo, oui chef, reformed criminal and celebrity chef Butch Orson, prepare the brigade, oui chef, is dragged back into the dark realm of criminal kitchens. Behind, when old rivals threaten his life's work,
Corner!
Butch is brought back. Hot.
No.
For one last cook.
Open Pandora's oven.
Yes, Chef! John Wick meets Hell's Kitchen in Yes, Chef, a comedic actual play adventure of kooky culinary combat, refried revenge, and untold gastronomic horrors.
And there is just a very tiny, skinny man dripping in brown black water. And you see this man seems to have just come out of the bathroom. Roll for initiative.
God. John.
And then he comes
I'm like, what? I'm like, this is a joke. Like, you're kidding. Like, ha. It's so funny. Let's keep playing Yes, Chef. No, he's serious. He's like, roll initiative. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Yes, Chef is out now on the Dungeons and Drimbus podcast feed.
Butchie, a genuine pleasure to see you.
So, this week we are talking about Alistair Theirin, who is a fascinating character. We're going to talk a bit about Alistair first, and then we're going to talk about Alistair's impact because he is a significant character not just within the series, but also within video game history in a way that I don't think I really understood the extent of until looking into him when I started doing research for this episode. So, Alistair is one of the first companion NPCs we meet in Dragon Age Origins. He is a Grey Warden. He has a Templar focus specifically, which he is canonically a cop. I want to talk real quick about the actor who plays him. He is played by Steve Valentine. Alistair was, when he was being written, initially inspired by Xander from Buffy and Mal from Firefly, but in David Gator's words, quote, he was really endearing and much more likable.
Okay.
So, because he was so inspired by Malcolm Reynolds from Firefly, they originally wanted him to be voiced by Nathan Fillion, and then
that
they were
would
like,
have been such a wild choice.
Right. And then they were like, oh yeah, wait, hold on, he's British. Like, a thing that is consistent in the games is humans and elves, and pretty much everybody has like, receive pronunciation British accents, except for the dwarves who have American accents, which I think is very cool. And like, it just feels right. So they nixed Nathan Fillion and they got Steve Valentine. So Steve Valentine has had a lot of like bit roles. He was Harry Flynn in Uncharted 2. I've never played an Uncharted game. He was in Teen Beach Movie.
Interesting.
But I think that probably...
As an adult?
Yes. Yes.
I would hope so, because Teen Beach Movie is a little...
Teens. Teens.
Is teens. And past the time of when Origins came out.
Oh, yes.
Significantly.
So his most important role to me in my heart... As a 2006 role, he played himself in an episode of... Can both of you guess at the most absurd possible show he could be on?
Well, you just said Teen Beach Movie, so like it really could be anything.
Yeah. 2006, you said?
Mm-hmm.
And this is like it's not... Okay, hold up. Because I did see the YouTube link. That's not it, right?
It's related.
It's related to the YouTube link?
Oh, okay. You've both looked at it. I'll give it to you. He was on
Yeah.
Chris Angel, Mind Freak.
What?
I looked to try to find the actual clip of him on Chris Angel, Mind Freak. I could not find it. I'm devastated. But he is a magician. He has done magic for like several famous people. Good for him.
I want Alistair back in Dreadwolf. I want him to be a magician.
Just doing close-up magic.
I just want Alistair doing close-up magic. It would be in character.
Now, the Chantry would not allow this.
No. It would be in character if he did a really bad job.
Yeah, they could allow it if certain game decisions are made at the end of Origins. I think he could allow it.
So I love this information. I think it's delightful. I really think that Steve Valentine's performance as Alistair is like one of the most endearing, charming performances I've ever heard in a video game. I think he has like this great comedic timing.
Yes.
That's very self-deprecating, but like the timing of it is so like natural. Like, you really feel like Alistair has always lived in his very specific humor. It is like a second skin to him.
I just looked up some of Alistair's quotes just because I was curious.
Please.
This one, it's relevant, and you'll probably hear this at some point if you continue to romance Morrigan, Jung. It says, while male warden is kissing Morrigan outside of the party camp. Excuse me while I begin projectile vomiting.
Yes.
That's an Alistair quote. Like, thank you. Perfect. I love it. Give me more of that.
He's so good.
He's so good.
Giancarlo,
Why
how
does he
much
have
do
to
you-
be so bad in combat?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they all are.
That's true. That's fair.
He is always fucking dying, though, for real.
It's like, I don't understand. Like, I thought he was going to be the tank, and he's not. He's not.
So
Oh my
here's
God,
the thing
wait.
about Alistair. He's pathetic. He is.
Wait.
Yeah.
Gameplay. John, do you know that when your characters die, they get injuries and you have to heal them? Or they are consistently always dying more?
Excuse me?
I didn't know this.
Yeah. Oh my God. So when
What?
they get like, if you open up your character, if you open up like the character where you can change their armor and weapons and stuff, they'll have like persistent injuries if they die a lot, and you have to use like potions and shit to heal them.
What?
Oh, I saw I have like the lesser injury kit, but where I gotta investigate.
Yeah, I don't remember the specifics on how it works because I haven't played Origins in forever, but yeah, if they die in battle a lot, they'll get injuries and they'll keep dying more. So like if you don't go back to camp all the time, they get weak.
That's trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So if he's dying a lot, then you might have to heal him.
Okay,
we go.
that's very good to know.
I think that that's actually a really good pivot because when this game came out, male gamers did not like Alistair. He's still, even with that knowledge, he is kind of pathetic. He is like desperately immature. He's very self-deprecating. He is extremely unserious, and he's just sort of like bad as shit. And all of that makes him extremely desirable. Women, when this game came out, fucking loved Alistair. And to this day, you can find sources talking about how like Alistair was the first time people fell in love with a character, or like Alistair was the first time they ever saw a man in media who they like were like, oh, that's what I want in a man. There's a post. So there's a post on a blog spot from an archived forum that's behind a paywall. So take all of this with a grain of salt. But apparently in the old BioWare forums, people were saying that they hate Alistair and wish that they could kick him out of the party, and talking about what a crybaby he is. And David Gator responded directly. And the quote here from, again, like 3 lines of separation is, "Tell you what, next time we put in a male lead, we will make sure to make him the manliest and most stoic creature you could possibly imagine. Just for you." And that line is in all italics. And then, and then he keeps going on, and says he will never show a single emotion, not even at his grandmother's funeral, and he will never utter a single complaint about your actions. He will simply reach out of the game, slap you across the face, and then take over the party. The rest of the party won't mind, and neither will you, because he will be that awesome. Deep down inside, you will resent him and resent the fact that every NPC in town, every NPC in every town the party enters falls in love with him and not you. But that part of you also knows that he deserves that love, even needs it. Gator later went on, somebody respond saying like, haha, that was priceless. But Alistair is like very whiny and cries a lot. And then Gator responded to that, no, he doesn't. Some players are whiny, however, and sure do cry a lot whenever any character dares to express a thought contrary to their own, or maybe, I don't know, express an emotion. I think this says more about their shallowness than Alistair's whininess. Not like entirely professional for a game dev, however, also like, yeah. Let men feel feelings, man. I love it. I love to see it.
I'm really interested to see how that continues to develop throughout the game and as I spend more time with him, because like I would say yes, he's had emotional moments, but absolutely not unwarranted. Like
right.
The main issue I have with him outside of mechanics and him dying every 5 seconds is I just don't like, well, one, that he's a cop. Actually, that's it. Right. It's the fact that he's a cop and that he gets very like bratty about it, like to other people, like with Morrigan and him like nonstop fighting. I'm like, dude, stop. And like Morrigan is not nice, but I'm also like, you're a cop, so I have less patience for you.
Right. She doesn't need to be nice.
Right. Exactly. So, but other than that, I'm like, because he kind of almost asks you for permission to express emotions, at least so far. Where like when you talk to him and you're like, how are you feeling? Like he's always like, oh no, like don't worry about it. And you have the option to be like, hey, no, like it's okay. What's up? And I appreciate that. It feels real. He feels genuine, and yeah.
Yeah, for where we were when this came out in 2009, we had Arkham Asylum, Assassin's Creed 2, and Borderlands as like some of the bigger games, and. Is Bruce Wayne like a classic Byronic hero? Yes. Was he that in 2009? No, he was a big, strong guy who punching. Like, that's it. Borderlands, I think, also played with gender in some really interesting ways, but we were like, masculinity in the 2000s was like rough. Full disclosure here, I am so agender that like I really have no grasp over like what masculinity like means or is, and I don't think I will be able to fathom. Same with femininity. These concepts don't mean anything to me, but I do know that boy howdy in the 2000s were boys told that they had to be strong for Jesus and George Bush.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say after that.
George Bush specifically really needs it.
He needs it. He's so scared.
You ever seen W out in the rain? He looks like a chihuahua after a shower. He needs you to be strong.
And just like chihuahuas, the war crimes.
Yes.
So I think like Alistair being this like first off person who will express emotions and is a man, and also somebody who will like ask to sort of be invited to express those emotions, that's a big deal. And I can totally understand why women felt so seen by Alistair specifically. Before him, we didn't have really any games that had different romance options who were men. Closest we come is, of course, Mass Effect 1. And the male romances in that, it's like just Caden, right? Is it Garrus as well?
Garrus is romance.
I don't think he's romanceable in the first one. Giancarlo, do you remember?
Well then,
like I said, I didn't get to romance anyone in the first one,
right.
But I don't think Garrus is.
I think it takes until 2. He's got like he like really doesn't want to be disrespectful and you're his boss.
Yeah, and Garrus overall is like, even when you're best buds, it's very hard to get him to open up, like not even for romance, like literally just to talk to you.
Yeah,
is very difficult.
Yeah, he's got a pretty hard shell.
Yeah,
he didn't.
Oh, then I guess I could see why people romanced Caden. Then I guess if they didn't want to romance a girl,
I'm gay as shit. I was going
their
after,
only option was Caden.
I was going after Liara. Come on.
Yeah,
she's a hot alien lady. Like done and done.
And then in Mass Effect 2, they gave you hot alien man, and everyone went, oh yeah.
Technically, they gave me 2 hot alien man, and I did try to go for the sadder one of the 2, but his romance is so comedically bad that I failed. Anyway, bringing this back, I think actually this does tie into the conversation. What do y'all think makes a good romanceable NPC in a video game? This led me to thinking about, like, you know, Alistair really opened up the idea of what women generally are looking for in a romanceable character in a game, which I think was then carried on both in the Dragon Age and the Mass Effect franchises. We can...
God, they really did. People really did just go for, in Dragon Age 2, at least, the little sad boy. Huh.
Don't start me here. Don't fucking start me here. So, without necessarily like dwelling on personal preferences, we could go that route if you wanted to. But I think, like, what makes a character compelling for a romance? What is it about, like, Morrigan that reels people in? What is it about Alistair where people play the game again, try to romance somebody else, and romance him again? What do y'all think makes
I'm feeling very called out.
Me too. I know.
Well, they've got to be at least 6'5". I don't know. That's a good question for me. And like, it is a hard thing to like also divorce from like personal preference or like experience and all of that. So like,
you don't have to divorce entirely.
Yeah. But for me, as someone who without emotional connection, there's nothing there at all. I fall somewhere on that scale. I'm not interested in labels necessarily, but I recognize that I experience it very differently than other people. And so for me, that's like a huge thing. I need the character to kind of have like a compelling backstory or kind of whole getup. So far, right, like Morrigan has the most like, oh, I think you're probably like a really potentially good person who is being treated very poorly and thus has become a little bit of an asshole. And that's okay. Also, it's a video game, so you got to have like some kick-ass character design. Like, you got to look cool.
Yeah.
Right? You don't... I think, at least for me, and I'm thinking like fantasy and like sci-fi, it's less about like, are you an attractive like creature that I would realistically want to be with in real life and like feel your flesh? Not necessarily. It's like, do you look sick as shit? Hell yeah. Like, you know?
Yeah. I actually think this is one of the main reasons why Leliana, who is romanceable in the first game, Leliana notably bisexual canonically, why, regardless of her being like a fun rogue bisexual, I just can't she's so boring looking in this game.
Yeah.
Why'd they do that to her?
Yeah.
I think in terms of gameplay, when like in a video game, when I'm picking a love interest, I want them I want to bring them along with me on every single
100%.
mission. They need to be with me all the time because I'm playing it for the love interest romance. I don't care about that in real life, so I want my video game love to be with me forever. So, like, Alistair is with you from the beginning of the game. So when I play Origins, I'm like, well, he's here.
Yeah.
He's got he's important to the story. I might as well have him along. And if we kiss along the way.
I think that's another key part of it, too, is being integral to the story that you're telling.
Yeah.
There are a lot of characters in the Dragon Age series and in Mass Effect, and I think a lot of other games that have followed this formula, where like they're a fascinating character, but they have like zero impact on the greater story other than like maybe being vital on a quest here or there. Like they feel totally divorced from the main storyline. And that for me is just a real like what's the point?
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's kind of like we were talking when I went on my Mass Effect tangent earlier, like those characters that were either my best buddy or like my potential love interest. It's like, I'm sorry, you can't not be with me because I'm too scared, and I need you here, and I trust you in combat, and like I want you here because also when the game ends, you don't exist, so.
my emotional support companion.
Exactly. Oh, now I'm getting more literal war flashbacks from Mass Effect. Opportunities to expand across games and all of that, because I think that's great. I kind of do like how Mass Effect makes you work for it, which I think is maybe another component of what makes a love interest for me. Less like rejection or whatever, but more like requiring you to put in the time to like really get to know someone. I don't know, it deepens that interest to I guess the anticipation or whatever, like it makes the payoff more worth it in the end.
Yeah, I mean it's making this facet of the game its own game, which I think is really important. Like, I like that there are reward systems, and like, yes, you can absolutely look up like what you need to say when to romance somebody, but I like that it also gives you the option of going in and just like choosing dialogue options that feel right to you and seeing how shit pans out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that ties into another thing that's important for me is like, I really need a romanceable character to have big opinions on the world, on the conflict, on what's going on. A character who will just like respond by being like approving of pretty much anything you do, or just being like, not what I would have done. It just has no stakes to me, you know? Like I need something there where the character is going to push back against me or push back against a different character and feel like a real part of the world.
I need the Nick Valentine effect where I care about you so much I would go slaughter a flying militia.
Exactly.
Just to make you happy. Also, I think something that BioWare does well, which I appreciated in Mass Effect, and I'm starting to see in this game as we've been traveling, is having party members talk to each other as well. Because it's really fun to get to talk to these characters that you're interested in, but it's also fun to see how they react to others, and it gives it that extra like little bit of reality, I guess. It gives it that depth that is really fun to see as well, because it's just, they're really clever in the way they execute it.
Yeah, I love the incidental background dialogue between the different characters so much. This is another thing where all of that dialogue, literally all of it, lives on the wiki.
Yeah.
And I have read it all.
I will not enter a building on purpose so that I can finish listening to the conversation before going in.
Oh yeah, you're playing this game right. Before we pivot to fanfic challenge, which I am terrified for, I want to ask Giancarlo you a few more things about Alistair, because I have something for you to look out for.
Okay.
How much do you know about his backstory so far?
I mean, I've asked him basically as much as I could, but I know he used to be in the Chantry. I know that Duncan took him, was basically almost like forced to take him. And I have read all of the stuff about his adoptive father, who might not actually be so adoptive, and then the new wife who sent him away, and we're on the way to meet him, actually. So I'm sure that'll come up. But it's still like nothing super concrete aside from like the basic details.
Okay. So I've got something for you to look out for sure then.
Uh-oh.
So you've had some discussion of Alistair's adoptive father. Alistair's mother is not ever referenced directly unless you really, really go looking. This is something that is alluded to. Origins wants to make you think that his mother is just like random lady.
Yeah.
I will tell you that his mother is a named character, and that is all I'm gonna say.
Do they reveal who? Can you find out who she is in Origins, or do they not reveal it until like 3? Inquisition. I can't remember.
I don't think they reveal it until Inquisition.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I guess I'll really look out for it then.
So at least it is a character who is introduced.
Oh my god.
In Origins.
Yeah. It's a character who's introduced. They just don't outright say who
Why do
she
I have a
is.
feeling it's like Flemeth or something and he's going to have a meltdown?
All I'll say there is
Flemeth being his mother would be the funniest shit in the universe.
Flemeth being his mother would be fucked up in a different way than usual for Flemeth.
Yeah.
Oh, Flemeth. Okay, we can't start talking about Flemeth because what a character. Okay.
She comes
question.
back too in other games.
Does Flemeth, like, are we kind of done with her or are we going to see more of her? Okay, we're going to see more of her. Great. So we'll save that topic for a different episode when I've seen her some more.
Are we done with her is the question of Dragon Age. Are we done with Flemeth?
Great question.
Okay. Let's pivot. I just remembered what we're pivoting to. Oh no.
Yes.
And it's time for fanfic challenge. Will you remind us what we've done?
So, I believe the challenge from last time, if I recall correctly, let me actually check our notes to see if we wrote it down exactly the way you phrased it. Perhaps. No, we didn't. It's only in the audio.
I asked you for smut, but I don't remember which character.
I do.
Yeah, it was Barat from the Dwarven origin. Smut of that character. And now I hate that you've done this to me. So I recommend no one look this up. I 0 out of 10, negative 1,000 out of 10. Don't search this character on AO3 at least. I didn't look anywhere else because I got traumatized enough. So there are 6 fanfics with this character tagged as a character. 6? I think there's more now. There's 26. Any of them that have there's no romance, I'll tell you that.
No.
All of them include elements of non-con.
Okay, there we go.
One was tagged "Dead Dove Do Not Eat."
Giancarlo, do you know this? Do you know Dead Dove?
Of course I do. Of course I do.
Okay.
Yeah. And another one is the one that made me scream at the end of the last episode, because it is the first one that comes up. And it is not fan fiction. It is fan art. So when I opened it up, I did see something I never want to see again, especially relating to this character. So I will not be telling anyone what it is. I will not be referencing any names of authors or fics. I did not read anything. I went into this saying, oh no, I'm going to find one and I'm going to read it. And I opened one and I went,
nope.
Just never mind.
In hindsight, knowing what he does to your sister, like, yeah, that was a poor choice.
Yeah, you really picked the worst one, dude.
Yeah.
I think for this one we have to be much nicer. This is our Alistair episode. I think that we should have Anne look for something with Alistair. Giancarlo,
Or,
do you have...
hear me out.
Or, yes?
His mother,
Oh, no.
Flemeth.
Oh! Yeah, okay. Flemeth. And then do we have like a...
I won't. So there's a slight problem with that. Anything that has any fan fiction that has to do with Flemeth is gonna include insane.
yeah, that's
spoilers.
All right,
it's gotta
never
include, like, the
mind.
most
So I
spoilers.
won't really be able to talk about the plot. of
Let's
it.
go Alistair then.
Uh-huh. And then, Giancarlo, do you
Um,
have like a fun keyword to add to that?
First kiss.
Oh, Alistair, first kiss. That's sweet.
Alistair plus first kiss. All right, I can read that.
Yeah.
I can find that.
I believe in you. I believe in you. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I'm not like typically a fanfic reader. I might give this one a go. That sounds very sweet and nice.
Yeah.
There's gonna be so many of these.
Yeah. You're going to have to give us, after like a bit of a glance, your favorite.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna read a lot of fan fiction
Okay.
this weekend, guys.
Hell yeah.
It'll be a nice palate cleanser, I hope.
God, I hope. Okay. Y'all know what it's time for.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yes.
Dragon Age. As always, this is when I present Giancarlo and Anne with a picture of a dragon, and I ask them what this Dragon Age is. You can find this image on our Tumblr, on our Twitter, on our site, in the show notes. And I can tell they've opened it. Who wants to give me an age first?
2 week.
That's funny. I was gonna say 2 days.
Oh.
I have presented you both a dragon by my favorite artist who makes dragons, Heather Sketcheroos. This little
This
guy
is a
is just an orb.
gift. I want this to be my wallpaper.
He's
It's
so
like-
cute.
It's like a little dragon orb sketch. And he's got a little like triangle tail and 2 little wings and some orange like little spiky horns, and his feet
He's
are
got
just
little like piggy bank legs.
yeah, piggy bank feet. That's exactly it. And his eyes are just round like his body. And I think he's shooting a little like sparkler out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love his mouth that is just like a little dwooby scalloped edge. Like, what's going on there, buddy? I love you.
I would die for this dragon.
He's the best boy. He's the best boy I've ever seen. Yes.
Unfortunately, he is a small archdemon.
Good for him. Good for him. Good job, little guy. If you would like to see this dragon, very tiny baby boy, you can go to our website, which is hughouse.productions. You can go to Act Fereldan on Tumblr. You can look in our show notes where we will link it and link to the artist, Heather Sketcheroos. And as always, if you want to watch Giancarlo play the game as he is playing it, which is a delight and very fun, you can find him at twitch.tv/whimsic productions. Be sure to follow so you get a notification when he's playing.
Yeah, we've got a semi kind of mostly regular schedule going now. We're streaming at about 5 p.m. Eastern most weekdays.
Perfect. Love it. Love it. It's a very good time. You'll probably see me and or Anne in the chat being as vague as humanly possible.
Just emojis.
And until next time, drag on.
What was that?
It was nothing.
And it's exactly what we needed.
Yeah, I think each time I just gotta put myself on the spot, black out, and see what happens. That's how I make
Drag On is
podcasts.
actually pretty good, I'm not gonna lie.
Drag On is pretty good. Get fucked,
sticks.
DeSantis.